that the two leading insurgent candidates, you and Donald Trump, in the polls also have similar positions on the war in the Ukraine.
Well, I think we both have populist positions. And, you know, I think when President Trump was in office, he did many of he laid the groundwork for the Ukraine war. So he walked away from the intermediate nuclear weapons treaty. He began integrating operations to create interoperability between NATO forces in the Ukraine, which the Russians said was a red line. They put the Aegis missile systems in Romania and Poland, and I think you know, those were things that were mistakes. That may have avoided the war.
I'm just looking at it in terms of what it reflects about how the American people feel about the war in Ukraine.
Well, I think, you know, listen, I think a lot of my positions are populist positions that appeal to people on the left and right. And the same was true with my dad. You know, when my father ran in '68, he got a populist coalition. He had whites, blacks, Hispanics, and basically people who had been alienated and left out of the system. And I think there's more and more Americans who feel that way today. 4 years later, most of the white, or large numbers of those whites who had voted for my father in '68, voted not for George McGovern, but for George Wallace. So, you know, what I learned from that is that that every movement and every nation and every individual has a darker side and a lighter side, and that the easiest thing for a politician to do is to appeal to people's greed and anger and fear and xenophobia and hatred and bigotry. But those same people can oftentimes respond to a message of idealism. And so I think, you know, there's a lot of discontent people in this country who like Donald Trump because they're angry, and they should be angry because nobody's listening to them. And he's a guy who likes to break things. And a lot of those people feel like we want somebody, because we're angry, who is going to break things. But I think that we can also appeal to the better angels and the same people by saying we're going to create something, you know, rather than just breaking things.